Daf Yomi, Tractate Menachot, page 39, starting from the bottom of 38b. For context, Rava said, learn from the sons of Rabbi Chia that one is required to tie a knot after each and every set of windings, and one cannot suffice with only one knot at the end of all the windings, as if it enters your mind to say that one is not required to tie a knot after each set of windings, then that which the sons of Rabbi Chia say, severed white or sky blue strings are fit, and similarly severed hyssop branches are fit, is difficult. Once the uppermost knot is undone, all of the windings on the entire corner will come undone, as there are no other knots holding the windings in place, and in that case the garment will not have valid ritual fringes. Okay, now we turn to Menachot 39 at the top. Dilma de Iktar. The Gemara rejects as proof. Perhaps the sons of Rabbi Chia were referring to a case where one tied knots between the sets of windings, even though there is no obligation to do so. Pshito hatoigef tikifo achas enochibu elashmamino dairaiso. And Rabbah says, learn from it that the uppermost knot in the ritual fringes is required by Torah law, as if it enters your mind to say that it is by rabbinic law, whereas by Torah law it is sufficient to merely insert the strings into the hole without tying any knots. For what reason was it necessary for the Torah to permit placing wool fringes on a linen cloak? It is obvious that it is permitted, since if one attaches a swatch of wool and a swatch of linen with a single connection, it is not considered a connection with regard to the prohibition against wearing a garment that includes both wool and linen. Rather, learn from it that the uppermost knot is required by Torah law. Amar Rav Ada, Amar Rav Ada, Amar Rav. Amar Rabba bar Rav Ada, Amar Rav Ada, Amar Rav. I wonder if this Rabba was Rav Ada's son, or was it a different Ada? I don't know. His name was Rabba bar Rav Ada, and then he said it in the name of Rav Ada. So I'm wondering if he said it in his father's name, or if this was a different Rav Ada. Who knows? Amar Rav, im nifsachut. I wonder if it's even possible to know. Is there any information that could find this out? Im nifsachut nikor besula yasiv. Plus Besula. Yosef Rabbi Nachman Kamar Loshmaite as Isve Robelom Nachman Ahmed Devan Amurim Tchilos Sofer Goldumov Kol Shehu. Rabba bar Ravada says that Ravada says that Rav says, if a string was severed at its base, meaning where it is connected to the garment, the ritual fringes are unfit. Rav Nachman sat in the study hall and stated this halacha. Rava raised an objection to Rav Nachman from a Braisa. In what case is this statement said? Meaning that there is a minimum length required for the strings. That is only when the strings are initially affixed to the garment, but in the end, meaning after the strings are affixed in an acceptable manner, its remainder and its severed strings are fit at any length. My shov. My gardumov, my love, shov deep seek minayu, vishtayal minayu gardumov, the gardum igardome. The Gemara clarifies what is the remainder and what is its severed strings. What is it not that when the Braita mentions its remainder, it is referring to a case where parts of the strings were severed and parts of them remain, and when the Braita mentions its severed strings, it is referring to a case where the strings were completely severed and nevertheless the strings are fit for the mitzvah? La. Chada ketani shiori galdumav kolshu v'lema galdumav shiori lamali hakamash belam devi'inan shiori legaldumav kedei le'anavan. The Gemara responds to his rejection. No. The Tana of the Braita is teaching one halacha, and the Braita should be understood as follows. The remainder of its severed strings are fit at any length. The Gemara asks, if so, let the Braita simply say, its severed strings are fit at any length. Why do I need the mention of its remainder? This teaches us that we require a remainder of its severed strings long enough to wrap them around the other strings and tie them in a slip knot. Yasiv Rabba b'komar mishmei Rav. Chut shel kerach oila min haminyan. Omar le Rav Yosef Shmuel Amar Rav lo Rav Itmar Nami. Omar Rav Bar Bar Chana Sachli Rav Yehoshua Demin Usha. Chut shel kerach oila la min haminyan. Rabbah sat in the study hall and said in the name of Rav, the string used for winding around the other strings is counted in the quota of ritual fringes, meaning it is one of the 8 strings on each corner, and there is no need to have an additional string for winding. Rav Yosef says Rabbah Shmuel said it, not Rav. This was also stated by another Amora. Rabbah Bar Chana says, Rabbi Yoshia of Usha told me that the string used for winding around the other strings is counted in the quota of ritual fringes. Yosef Rav Amar lo Shmuel. Yiswanami Amar Rav Huna bar Yehuda Amar Rav Sheshes Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Rav. Wow, it's a long one. It's a big pedigree there. Pedigree? I don't know if the word. It's a big list. Amar Yehuda bar Yehuda Amar Rav Sheshes Amar Rav Yirmiyah Amar bar Abba Amar Rav. Chadash Ruba Sheol. Rabbah sat in the study hall and said in the name of Shmuel, if one wound the majority of the wine in sky blue strings, instead of leaving a larger portion of the strings hanging loose beyond the windings, the ritual fringes are nevertheless fit. Rav Yosef said too. Rav said it, not Shmuel. The Gemara supports Rav Yosef's version from that which was also stated. Rav Huna bar Yehuda says that Rav Sheshet says that Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba says that Rav says. If one wound the majority of the white and the sky blue strings, the ritual fringes are nevertheless fit. Rav Chia, son of Natan, teaches this discussion like this. Rav Huna says that Rav Sheshet says that Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba says that Rav says. If one wound the majority of the white and sky blue strings, the ritual fringes are nevertheless fit, and even if he wound only one set of windings, the ritual fringes are fit. But the finest way to affix the white and sky blue strings is to ensure that 1/3 of the length of the strings is windings and 2/3 are loose hanging strings. Become a shur chulia. Tanya Rabbi Omer Kedesh Yeshalish Tana Poiches Lo Yivkois Misheva. The Gemara asks, and what is the measure of a set of windings? It is taught in the Braita that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says it is such that one winds a second and third time, meaning each set must contain at least 3 windings. It was taught one who minimizes the set of windings may not have fewer than 7 sets, and one who adds to this number of sets may not have more than 13 sets of windings. Ha-poiches lo yivchois misheva keneged shiva rikim. V'amois liv lo yoisif al 13 keneged shiva rikim v'shiva avirin shebenehem. The Gemara provides explanations for these guidelines. One who minimizes a set of windings may not wind fewer than 7 sets corresponding to the 7 firmaments, and one who adds to this number of sets may not wind more than 13 sets of windings corresponding to the 7 firmaments and 6 air spaces between them. Tana kishu matchil maschil bilavon kanaf min kanaf. Kishu bisayim bilavon. It was taught when one begins to perform the windings, he begins winding with a white string. This is because the verse indicates that one first inserts the fringe of the corner, Numbers 15:38, meaning the white strings, which are of the same type as the corner of the garment. And when one concludes the windings, he concludes with a white string. In accordance with the principle, one elevates to a higher level in matters of sanctity and does not downgrade. Rav v'Rabba bar Barchana havoy yasvi v'havika chalif azira hu gavra d'michase gelime chule techelta u'mele techelta. The Gemara relates, Rav and Rabba bar Barchana were sitting together. A certain man was passing by wearing a cloak that was made entirely of sky blue wool, on which he had affixed white and sky blue strings. We'll stop here. Probably start the story over again in the next Amud.